Hey everyone, my name is Wedge. Dragons of Tarkir spoilers show no signs of slowing down. Today we bring you a bunch of new mythic rares, a new command spell, and more. Put on your hype pants and let's dive right in. Hype pants. What would hype pants look like? That's interesting. We'll start the day off with a mythic. Ojutai Exemplars is 2 colorless and 2 white for a 4/4 human monk. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose one. Either tap target creature, or the Exemplars gains first strike and lifelink until end of turn, or exile the Exemplars, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Wasn't this the Swiss Army knife of creatures? 4 mana for a 4/4 is just fine to start, but it is so versatile beyond that. Taps down attackers or blockers, gets a combat advantage with first strike, a tempo advantage with lifelink, and it can protect itself from instant speed removal. In a spell-heavy deck, probably a Jeskai strategy, this can answer a lot of questions your opponents will ask. Versatility is something that should be valued, and this does it a lot better than most creatures. Reminds me of Aetherling a little bit. Risen Executioners, 2 colorless and 2 black for a 4/3 zombie warrior. It can't be blocked. Other zombie creatures you control get +1/+1. You may cast it from your graveyard if you pay an additional 1 mana for each other creature in your graveyard. Where'd this card even come from? I don't know about you, but I was not expecting a zombie lord that uses the graveyard like this, especially at mythic rarity. That's my first issue. I don't think this guy should be a mythic, but that's just me. Beyond that, another zombie lord will make casual and commander players pretty happy. I see a lot of talk about empty the pits, delving away your whole graveyard, then playing this guy the turn after. The idea is cool, but it seems super inefficient, like outrageously inefficient. I can see this in a decent amount of tribal zombie decks or a Thraxamunder commander deck, but beyond that, he seems a little too build dependent for a format like Standard. Lightning Berserker is 1 red mana for a 1/1 human berserker with dash costing 1 red. You can pay 1 red to give it +1/+0 until end of turn. I'll get straight to the issue. Is this better than Fire Drinker Satyr for red aggressive decks? Here's the problem. The Berserker isn't as good turns 1 through 3 because it only has 1 power and Fire Breathing is a mana sink early game that you want to use to play aggro creatures. It gets significantly better as the game goes on and has legitimate protection against board sweeps thanks to its dash ability. It's kind of an awkward card, but I feel like it's better than the Satyr, especially in a format where control is becoming more popular. Dashing and then Fire Breathing for a bunch seems really good. This is the kind of dash card I've been looking for. It's super annoying card to deal with. Zurgo Bellstriker is 1 red mana for a 2/2 legendary creature orc warrior with dash costing 2 mana. It can't block creatures with power 2 or greater. Really? This is Zurgo? He can't even block a morph creature? What happened to him? This is what he used to be. Look at him now. Zurgo, dude, we need an intervention. Sure, he's 1 mana for a 2/2. Great, awesome. Flavor-wise, he's fallen pretty far. Also, I think this was a great opportunity to make a card that summoned dragons. He hits a bell, that calls dragons. It just makes sense. I don't often get super disappointed in cards, but at least Sidisi was pretty sweet and she isn't even alive anymore. Zurgo is nothing like his old self. It just serves him right, killing Narset. That's what you get. This next card is a disturbingly rough translation, so hopefully the internet got it right. Death Mr Raptors, 1 colorless and 2 green for a 3/3 lizard beast with death touch and megamorph costing 5 mana. Whenever another permanent you control is turned face up, you may return the raptor from your graveyard to the battlefield face up or face down. Can I start off by saying that this creature type is lacking a very important word? Dinosaur. That's a dinosaur. Lizard beast? Come on, what a cop-out. I want to see dinosaur on that type line. Just unbelievable. Anyways, the card is pretty sweet. 3 mana for a 3/3 with death touch is nothing to scoff at. The return engine is really easy to trigger. Just turning something face up, you can do that all day with morph creatures or manifested creatures. This and Whisperwood Elemental will be real good pals. I'm not saying that this completely enables a morph deck to be good, but it's got some serious value and death touch makes it a huge threat in Standard with rhinos running around all over the place. Last thing about the Raptor, there's some chatter about it being a hint at the next block. Ever hear the name Muraganda? Probably worth looking up, just in case. Yeah. Atarka's Command is 1 red and 1 green for an instant. Choose 2. Your opponents can't gain life this turn. Atarka's Command deals 3 damage to each opponent. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield, and creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain reach until end of turn. Okay, there are a few things to say about this. First, it's only 2 mana. That's insanely cheap for a card with 4 different abilities. The first ability is akin to Skullcrack. However, before you start swapping out your cracks for commands in Modern, realize that this does not deal with core Firewalker all that well. Sure, it gets around Leyline of Sanctity, but you have other cards for that. Just keep that in mind. In Standard, however, that third ability, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. You know what that enables really well? Landfall. Yeah, not saying we're returning to Zendikar or anything, but Magic Origins is going to have some Zendikar flavor. We could see Landfall coming back in that set, which would be awesome. Even without that, if you use that third ability, you're basically getting one of the other ones for 1 mana. It's just so cheap, and it lets you play a land on your opponent's turn. That's cool. I'm a fan of the command. It's good stuff. Dragonlord Dromoka is 4 colorless, 1 green and 1 white for a 5/7 legendary creature Elder Dragon with flying and lifelink. It can't be countered. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. I'm not sure a card can scream Commander more than Dromoka screams Commander. That aside, she's kind of gross in the right deck. She can stabilize the board pretty well with 5 power worth of lifelink and forcing your opponent to do all their stuff on their own turn. 6 mana is a lot against aggressive strategies where she could stop the bleeding, but there's green in that cost. A Bant ramp deck isn't out of the question. Players have been leaning on Resolute Archangel every now and then. I'm not saying that this is strictly better or anything, but it is a 1 mana cheaper and a much bigger blocker. Something to think about. Jury is still out on Dromoka as far as I'm concerned. That's it for spoilers today. What did you all think about the load of new mythics we got? Impressive, sad, filler cards, somewhere in between? Personally, I'm really excited about the Exemplars. I think that card is legitimately good. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, subscribe below for the latest and most reliable Dragons of Tarkir spoiler information you could ever need. This is the Manosaurus, I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.